Okay. Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton, and along with me, as always, is the drone dodging darling, Bethany McChesney, and my pen, not my favorite pen that I was just discussing, which is dying. They have to use this pen now. So, because I write things down while we talk, every now and again.
Hmm.
It's
I
not
know.
it's not it's not readable. Like nobody
I
else
do
can
too.
read it, but I can kind of read it sometimes. We'll talk about the drone thing later on with our guest, so we'll leave that be for a minute.
Mhm.
How you doing? You looked like you had a civilized night, like the other night, like like a weekend of non-racing.
Fitness things.
Yes, like a regular
Well,
person.
I know we tried. Yeah, we went to Guelph for a fitness competition though, sort of. My brother competes in strongman competitions, which was really exciting to watch. I've never actually watched one before. He plays second in his division. He's in the smallest division. Which is under 200 pounds. So it's interesting. 200-pound men are the smallest men there.
Yeah.
um but wow, it was so cool to watch. And I always do this where I was like, oh, this looks really fun, maybe I should try. And then I started
No.
looking up. So no, the smallest women are 160 pounds, so I'm like, okay, I'm really not built for this. So I let it go.
Mind you, it did look really cool. Like I saw the stories; it looked awesome, and I was kind of regretting not going away. But I mean, we needed a weekend as well of recovery weekend. We
Yeah,
actually worked out quite hard, but we stayed home.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
you need that sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it looked
Yeah,
really
and
cool.
then I did have a proper date with Jeff. We live a lot of life going to races and doing all the fitness things. And so we actually went out for dinner for the first time, and we called it a normal person date.
By the way, brought to you by Duonamic, door frame pull up things. New product coming out at Designateddrinks.ca, and I'm having a athletic brew tonight. So very good.
I
I
have
managed
nothing.
I managed to almost
It's still
remember.
packed up.
Yeah, I managed to remember that. So a couple things I wanted to hit on, and this struck me as interesting, and we will be having an interview, a Spartan interview later on. But with a lot of talk about money and stuff from the elites and money, we are seeing. I mean, obviously the 3K, the prize money for the Elite National Series is essentially cut in half. Um, the prize money for the 3K Worlds looks pretty hefty, so that's impressive. And then I notice one of our favorites, RX1, is for their pro division, which incidentally, if you're a Spartan Pro, you're probably not an RX1 Pro. So it's a different crowd. But they're looking at like 2,300 for first place, second place 860, third place 430. And I'm like, that's pretty good. That's
Yeah.
not too shabby at all. And I was like, wow, good for RX1. It's good to see they're doing well. And we are looking forward to being out at, well, I think I'm making 3 to 4 of them,
Yeah.
you
My
know?
plan is to also, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm signed up for 4. I'm going to try to make them all. We'll see. Um,
Yeah.
there was going to be some scheduling conflicts, which may or may not happen now. Who knows? So,
Mhm.
so I might make all 4 this year, which is pretty good, pretty good. But I might have to start doing a little bit of running again,
Yeah, there is
a little
running
bit.
in them.
No, it's not a ton though, and it's different, right? It's almost like it's not like a 21K beast, where you're up and down a mountain and then you get. It's like you
Yeah.
can kind of fake it as long as you're in good shape.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But
Like
yeah, if you're into functional racing, RX1 is where it's at. And if you are on the stronger side of the functional racing, there is money in that pro division. So and there's some gymnasticsy movements too, like muscle ups, handstand walks. So there is on that extreme side of it too. But
it
there's all
really
divisions.
It really is like the pro division of RX1 is really kind of CrossFit endurance. CrossFit light on weight, heavy on endurance.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's still some solid weight for especially for the male pro. Like that's some
Yeah.
heavy stuff. It's not,
Mhm.
like I hear a lot of people say High Rocks is heavy. High Rocks is, by the way, actually, I do want to talk about that right now. High Rocks is not that heavy.
Hmm.
Everybody keeps going on High Rocks is heavy, Deca is light, High Rocks is heavy. I'm sorry, High Rocks is not that heavy. Yes, the sled is hard to push,
Hmm.
but it is not that heavy. Other than the sled, what's the heaviest thing you got to lift?
Well, yeah, and like the farmer's carry isn't really that destructive either, and that would be the next heaviest thing.
Yeah, and then the lunges, they're not destructive because they're heavy. They're destructive because there's a whole freaking lot of them,
Long. Yeah.
right? And same with the
Hmm.
wall balls. It's for the pro men, it's a 20-pound ball. It's just a lot of reps. So no, High Rocks is not that heavy. Just
It's just
stop
long.
saying that. I don't
Hmm.
know why that's just all of a sudden gotten to me. It's not that freaking heavy. RX1 Pro, that's heavy.
Yeah.
It's not even that heavy, but it's heavy. It's like when you do High Rocks, and I think the reason I think it bothers me is it scares some people away.
Hmm.
And it shouldn't because it is not that heavy, especially if you're doing open waves in High Rocks. It's not that heavy. You will be just fine. If you are the average person in reasonable condition, like you don't have disability, you can do the weights. You
Yeah.
can move them. It's not
Hmm.
that bad. So do not be frightened off by people saying High Rocks is super heavy. You need to be super strong. That is not true.
Hmm.
Can do it. Is it for everybody? Maybe not, but it is doable and it is not that heavy.
Yeah.
You're not
I
looking at
have more clients turned off by the general length of the entire race
yeah, yeah.
than the weight of it.
So that rolls right in my next thing here. I don't know if you've seen this, but there is a gym over in England. Hold on, and I'm gonna take a couple of seconds to find it, so bear with me. But there's a gym over in England, and they are a High Rocks affiliate. Actually, I think they're a DECA affiliate as well, so that's kind of cool. I think they're a High Rocks, DECA, and CrossFit affiliate. I think they're all three,
Oh,
which
nice.
I think is
That's good
very cool.
crossover.
I think
Hmm.
it's very cool that you can do that, and two, that they have, because it's like having your McDonald's, Burger King, and KFC all in one spot. It's just
Hmm.
fantastic. By the
Well,
way,
and a lot of people do all of them.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So why not cater to them? So
So then you don't have to pick.
yeah, I think it's fantastic. So here's stuff they're doing. They're actually doing a point series with a High Rocks strong. So High Rocks with no running. A High Rocks remix, which they're calling High Rocks with a twist, which I think is things out of order.
I like it.
And they're calling High Rocks mini rocks with 400 meters of run.
Perfect.
And I'm like,
That would be fun.
fan freaking tastic. Somebody is thinking, somebody's listening, and it looks like it's a good price point. It's like 30-40 bucks for each event. I'm like, they get it. Who is it again? It is Get Fit Training in the UK. Get Fit Training in the UK. Well done. You have cracked the code. High Rocks, please pay attention and watch how that's done, and maybe bring some of that in because I think it's fantastic. I mean, that's stuff people have been asking for.
Yeah.
One with a 400 meter, a half rocks essentially. One with no running whatsoever. You get your CrossFitters in there, and it's still not that heavy. You'll still be fine. It's awesome. And the High Rocks remix. I don't really care about jumbling it up in order, but some people like that idea. That
Hmm.
hey, you know what? I wouldn't do that at an official High Rocks, but for a gym event, kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Yep.
Especially if maybe you waited till they got there and they did like a little lottery and see which ones come up first and crazy crap.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but I think
Hmm.
like, would you not do that? Would that not be cool?
I would love it. Yeah.
All right, Beth. So set it up. There you go. You need a
No, I need
Canadian
a
one.
bigger gym.
If you'd like to donate a bigger gym to Bethany, please write us at
Yeah.
Get Bethany a Bigger Gym, one eight
Yeah.
hundred whatever,
Exactly. Mhm.
London, something like that.
With all the
Um,
ideas.
yeah, I thought it was. I'm just glad to see somebody finally making a move on it, and I hope that some of the other gyms come on. I'd like to see some more High Rocks affiliates too come around, and because I don't think it should be that difficult. I think it's actually easier to become a High Rocks affiliate than a DECA affiliate.
Less
But
equipment wise. Yeah.
yeah, but they don't have that great system set up that DECA has with the worldwide scoring stuff and everything set up. So I mean, that's where it kind of cuts short. Um, yeah, there was one other thing that I wanted to talk about. We never did, and it was a race down in Florida that happened. That's one of my bucket list races. Excuse me, called Native X. And my buddy Tony went and did it, and Carrie. And it is one again where it's like 500 meters of running, but they have obstacles, like legit ninja style obstacles and workout stations. And I want to get down there and check it out. I'm like, I think it's in January. Maybe you might try to set it up for next year and
Mhm.
head down there. So if anyone wants to go to native, I because that's it's like a TMX thing, which
Mhm.
been clamoring for. I
Yeah.
I want to see that stuff come back. Um, what's next? What's next coming up for you now?
Oh gosh, I signed up for this 30K race. I I did a couple road races, long road races on my schedule to keep me running mileage over the winter. So we did a half marathon last weekend, and then the next one, so in 2 weeks, we do the 30K around the bay. I did it a while ago, back when I was just running, before the OCR thing kind of came into my life, and I hated it. So I'm kind of doing it again to create a better memory of this race in my mind. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna just kind of power through it. I haven't really been training for it properly. Yeah, and then after that is the first RX one, which I am pretty pumped about. So that's the end of April.
I'm pretty pumped about it too, as long as I don't like look on the thing and all of a sudden see double unders.
Yeah, I have to get practicing my double unders.
I've been actually worried. I was kind of worried, and I don't think I even told you this, but like over the past month, I had like this wrist thing going on. And like I could still do pull-ups and stuff like that, but I had like no range of motion whatsoever. And it like really hurt to put my hand back. But that seems to finally be like I've been working on it, so it seems to be finally clearing up, and I can finally just now kind of do a barbell clean again.
Oh,
So I was like, and there's always barbell cleans at RX1, which incidentally I wish there wasn't, but there is. And yeah, so I mean, like I was just doing it with like I don't have to do a ton because my age is like 110 pounds is the max on the clean, right? Or my age, the expert division that I compete in. So it's not like 225 pounds or anything like that, but it's just that range of motion that I'm trying to get back. And I'm like, I finally am feeling like, okay, I might actually be able to do it.
mhm.
Because I was thinking I might have to pull out and not compete at all if I couldn't get that under wraps, but it seems like I'm going to be okay. I don't know how good I will be. I had hopes to really compete at a high level this year, and I might not be able to do that. But well, I know I'm just going to go and see how it goes,
Yeah,
and go from there. Yeah, and with my division, right, over 45 expert, it just who knows? It depends who's going to be there or not. So
yeah.
we'll see. Hopefully, you can still make some podiums and get through some good races.
Hmm.
But yeah, and I don't know why the prize money makes me look forward to it more because it has jack shit to do with me. I'm not in that division, and if I was, I would have no chance at it anyway because those guys are absolute animals.
Hmm.
But for some reason, it makes me excited about it. Any idea why?
Well, I think the seriousness of the sport and like that race, watching the pros, I think it makes it a little bit more exciting when there's some money on the line. It also could increase the amount of people that are at the races that are competing in that pro division.
Yeah, maybe. I hope so. I
Mhm.
know I've been pestering a couple ladies about jumping in that pro division. I don't
Yes.
think I'm getting anywhere.
No.
I don't know. I don't know. It's iffy. Sometimes you get good response, sometimes no. We'll see.
Hmm.
Apparently, one of them will still be in California for the first one anyway, at least, and we'll see.
Hmm.
But yeah, I thought that prize money might lure him out. We'll see how it goes.
Hmm.
Anyway, yeah. So I want to get to the interview. I want to get to our interview, and this is actually something with the show I've constantly struggled with. I have no idea how to introduce interviews. So here we go. Well, we're gonna try to focus more on positive stuff.
Whoa, that's a big favor.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. We got a
I'm just
lot of
kidding.
stuff going
I'm
on
ready.
right now.
I'm ready for whatever.
Is that your you just flying in? You just flew in, right?
Yeah, I just flew in. I'm going to take a look at our venue over for Tough Mudder down in London or the London area. So heading down there right now.
Beth should just meet you there.
London, Ontario?
Yeah. Well, it's in Cortland, Ontario. It's at Gopher Dunes. It's a little like it's a well, not little. I guess it's a pretty big motocross park, and yeah, so that's where we're gonna do our next Tough Mudder.
I'll see.
Cool.
Beth is writing
Yeah,
this down now. She's like, oh, I can
I'm
get
like,
gym people to go there.
my
what?
clients, this is close.
How far
Yeah,
is that?
Oh, like 45 minutes.
That's not bad.
Nice.
Hmm.
When's the last time you guys did a Tough Mudder?
Bethany.
I haven't.
You haven't.
No.
2023 is the
Yeah.
year.
Well, I mean, if a race is that close.
I mean, right?
So
What
I
about you,
think
Dave?
me, the last one I did, what I'm trying to say. So I've done WTM, I did TMX, I've done regular Tough Mudder. I volunteered last year a bit, like we saw you there last year. So I didn't race last
Right.
year, but I kind of volunteered and helped. And it was a impromptu volunteer where a friend was volunteering and I just showed up and just started doing stuff.
That's awesome.
Just started
That's
pulling
really
people up the slant wall. So I think
Oh
that's
yeah.
yeah.
That's
They
generous
needed
of
help.
you.
It's one
That's
of those
awesome.
deals, when you get there, you just can't help but kind of like,
It's just the thing, right?
yeah. And it was a beautiful day. And I'm like, yeah, I'll just get on top of that wall and start dragging people up.
Love it. That's awesome.
I,
That's the Mudder spirit.
yeah. So, I mean, I guess a lot of people don't realize that you're doing the race directing for Tough Mudder Canada now, too.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So, how
If
many do we
you
have?
if
Is it
you
just the one?
just the one this year, just the one. But obviously we're looking at other opportunities. I know Whistler was a big market back in the day. Montreal didn't work so well, I think, way back, probably 2015 or 16. But Whistler's already it's on the table. Let's say for the upcoming years, we're going to look into that, see if it's possible.
By the way, Nic Bertrand, Bear, Spartan /
Yeah,
Tough Mudder race director, Canada, and such. Um, I
did we
was
start the
actually,
podcast already? Did you guys just send it?
yeah, we just start stuff.
Oh,
We just do
nice.
things randomly, whatever. We'll edit
So
it.
we're on air.
Oh no, we don't do live. We don't do live.
Oh, okay.
No, we won't do live because that gets sketchy. Maybe do an Instagram live with you sometime,
Sure.
but we'll
I'm in.
wait for that. We've been talking about expanding into some of that recently, so we'll go there. But
Nice. And
I was
and do you edit or do you just go one long format?
I'll edit things that need to be edit, but it needs to
Okay.
be pretty severe.
Okay. That
Like
works.
yeah, it needs to be either I need to be asked or something really goes wrong or something along that lines. But when
Right.
you talk about Whistler, I was in British
Yeah.
Columbia. I want to say back in like the last time Tough Mudder was at Whistler. And I didn't realize it was there that day. I was there for work and I only had one day off. And I rented a
Oh no.
motorcycle and I drove the Sea to Sky Highway all the way up to Whistler and got there.
Beautiful.
And I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. They're having a Tough Mudder. And I'm like, all I needed was like shoes. And I didn't, they were already through it. I was like, oh, it would have been very cool to do. But
Did
if
you
they ever,
uh did you
go
stop
ahead.
by the venue itself? Did you stop by the venue itself?
Yeah. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I see people running on the hill. I'm like, oh shit. And I put it together, right? I'd forgotten that it was happening when I was out there for work. So
Oh yeah, and they had that big ski jump. I don't know if Tough Mudder used it because we were looking at that site to do a Spartan back in 2020. And so we toured around and they told us about how Tough Mudder did things. And they had this really big, I think they do the Red Bull challenge up that. It's like the ski jump, like the Olympic ski jump.
yeah,
Mhm.
And they just go straight up that. So I don't know if the Tough Mudder crew went up that, but man, that would have been a hell of a challenge.
I don't think they did, but yeah,
No,
that's that Red Bull
probably not.
400.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that's insane.
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Have you ever tried that? Do you have to qualify for that, or is it just like it's an open thing and you show up and you beat yourself up with 400 meters?
I got no idea. Beth, do you
Yeah.
have any idea about the Red Bull
I
400?
think it's open, but I think they capped the number relatively small.
Yeah, but that
Cool.
would be a
One
super
day.
cool. Anyway, it looked like an
Yeah,
awesome
sure.
venue, and Allison Ty gave me hell for not telling her I was there and going in that and all that. Hi, Allison. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was pretty good. So something I wanted to ask you about, and this just came up. We just saw this, and you're a race director, so I thought you'd be the guy to ask. Apparently in Houston, some dude was flying a drone around
Okay.
the festival area, and everybody thought it was like part of the Spartan thing, and they were waving at it anyway. And then Spartan announced like, "Hey, whoever's flying the drone, you can't
Stop.
do that here."
Yeah.
So what's the deal with that? Kent is like, what? So if someone was to do that at one of your events, what do you think the deal is? Like, other than
I
Fidel,
mean,
like he can do it.
yeah, Fidel can do whatever, he's got carte blanche. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, yeah,
But no, so yeah, sometimes we'll fly drones. Sometimes even we are not allowed, depending on the venue, depending on, like for example in Montreal, Mont Tremblant, it's actually it's part of the CIPAC, which is the like the national parks. Well, they call it national because it's Quebec, but the parks of Quebec basically. So it's on those grounds, and you're not technically allowed to film anything there. So even we can't do that. And so basically, at any venue where that happens, that would be a hard no. But then once again, like you say, what do you do with that, right? Like it's not like we have a magic like a claw or some net to bring him down. So I don't really know what we do, honestly.
I mean,
I have to
in
figure that
Houston,
out.
they should
It's
have
a
just
it's a
shot it.
risk. Well, I mean, Austin, Texas, in
Yeah, like
Canada, a few different places,
we could
can't
start
really
throwing
shoot down.
spears.
Oh well, yeah, that's a good idea actually. Live target practice. I love it. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I don't know what I do actually. You're putting me on the spot here, but maybe I don't know. I'd call the park authorities, or because it's a liability issue at the end of the day, right? Like
Yeah,
those little things. Like sometimes you have really competent drivers, and you see those like awesome like races. Have you ever seen the drone races they do? It's like
yes.
crazy. But then you definitely have the other side of the population has no clue what they're doing, and that's when it becomes a risk to everyone. So, yeah.
I would definitively fly it into someone's head.
I
But
mean, I would too, and probably on purpose. I'm kidding.
yeah. Well, Beth, you had the guy at your deca, and he was like solid. Like I remember running by
Yeah.
it. It was on a stand. It just didn't move whatsoever. It was
Yeah. Well, so that's
The
what he
DECA?
does media for construction companies. So he does it around construction companies. So he's very, very good with his drone. But yeah, he was flying it inside the mall.
Wow.
it was
Mhm.
pretty cool.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Actually, Barry,
You
you should
guys
have
just
made it
got
out.
back from what's that?
Well, you should have made it out. You should have come out for that. You should have done that because it is a Spartan deca mile. You should have come out and
It
give it a shot.
is. How was that? You guys won something. I saw like the plaque, or you guys had a plaque or a board of sorts.
Beth,
Well, we won the team mile, currently
Nice.
leading the standings and globally, but
for
there's
two
only been a
weeks.
couple. Yeah.
Go Canada. Woo.
2 weeks
Wow.
running. I
Congrats.
mean, this is like unbelievable. I think they actually had another event and they didn't beat us at that event. So we'll
Yeah.
take it.
Yeah. Well, congrats to you. That's awesome. I haven't done one yet. It's interesting to me.
It's a very different feel than obviously a Spartan, but
Oh yeah.
it's still good fun and they definitely go hand in hand. Um, so we should talk about Spartan. So why don't you lay out
Let's
this year for Canada? What is our schedule this year? What do we got going on?
absolutely. Well, we have 6 beautiful races all across the country for you guys. Starting out in Toronto, our beautiful Brimacombe that everyone either loves or hates, but
Fire
been there
ants.
forever. So Brimacombe. Oh, do you like it or do you hate it?
I liked it, but we were there the one year when they had the fire ants on the crawl. A little
Oh,
bit bad.
uh, yeah. No more fire ants. Don't worry. But yeah, so we're starting out in Toronto. So it's over in the east side, just past Usher, if you're from around Toronto. So that's where we're starting off. The season, it's a good spot to start because there's not too much of a snow base. So we're building our stuff and making a couple tweaks here to the course, but mostly it'll be the same. I've gotten back that there's like some good feedback last year because we reduced the numbers of just straight up and downs. And I created this year as well, and I added a couple more little loops of running, like pure running, in there. So maybe that'll get some folks excited. But don't you worry, we're going to keep the hills there for you guys who would like power hiking. So Toronto first, that's May 13th and 14th, and then over to Montreal, which is actually Mont Tremblant. So that's just north of Montreal, about an hour and a half. great venue. We're gonna have basically every single one of our products, except for the Hurricane Heat and the Trail, are gonna be in Montreal. So from the 5K sprint to the 50-kilometer ultra, kids race, all distances on that as well. Which last year it gave us a really cool surprise, and not so cool for you guys, but no pun intended, very cool race because it was freezing. It was like 2 degrees and snowing at the top of the hill with like insane winds. So that was a nice surprise in June. But hopefully this year the weather's a little better. We hope that the bugs won't show up again. So that's one consideration. But it's a beautiful venue. We go all the way to the top with the beast. So if you want a really cool view, if you want to see the south side, the lakes and everything, that's where you need to go. And then after that, we're going over to Red Deer, Alberta, Heritage Ranch, which is a fan favorite. I think it's kind of split. People kind of want to see something new, but they also just love the classic, the trails, the beautiful trails out in Red Deer. The run on the pavement by the river, in the trails, in the horse trails, up and down the tiny hills, and obviously the beautiful stairs at the end, which make it classic, the classic stairs challenge at the end. So Red Deer are going to be back. And then we're coming back on the East Coast to Ottawa. So Ottawa, Calabogie Peaks, which is cool mountain. And it has a good amount of flat running, which, sometimes on ski hills, it's not the thing you see the most. Yes, there is one hike up and one hike down on the sprint and 2 for the super. But you get to go on the beach. You get to do the awesome dunk wall by the water in the beach and run around the golf itself. So it's a really cool time. I think it's a little further away from Ottawa than we'd really like. But the location is just amazing. And even for the production crew, it's just cool to be able to go and jump in the lake after a hard day of work to make sure you guys are happy with our race. So Ottawa, and then we're going over to Kelowna, BC. Kelowna, BC, which is actually a big white ski resort, which Dave, you said it was probably one of the fan favorites last year just because of the sheer elevation, the beautiful views of the entire, the West Coast of Rockies, everything out there, a couple of lakes. I mean, it was just beautiful and very challenging course, but it was a cool mix of hiking and more hiking and a little bit more hiking. So that was cool. And finally, our last race over at Blue Mountain. That one has to be a lot of people's favorites. I think that we use the venue out there very well in a way that, the sprint isn't too hard, but then once you get into the beast territory, that's when, you get the really gnarly hills and the gnarly trails on the right side. Which make it the product that we all come to love or hate or have a mixed relationship with. So, packed season. And then we have our Tough Mudder in September, as I was talking about a bit earlier, over in Portland, which is just in the area of London, Ontario. So about like an hour and a half drive from Toronto, which I'm driving to right now. And it's going to be a great venue. So, that's the whole season.
That's not too bad. So there's a couple of things that I want to ask.
Sure.
And I guess I'll just say this, and I've said it before, for those of you who have been to Blue Mountain but may not been to Tremblant for a race, just picture Blue on steroids. It's just a little bit bigger and a little bit more, but like you said, it's an amazing place. Tremblant is awesome, definitely worth it. I didn't realize. So did we have an ultra last year?
An ultra in blue?
Like an ultra at all? Did they have the ultra last year? I can't remember.
So we had an ultra in Mont Tremblant, but we didn't have an ultra at Blue. We had one 2 years ago in 2021.
Yeah, I remember. That's what I mean. I remember the ultra in blue a couple of years back, but I wasn't sure if we had one in Montreal. But that's good. That's a great spot for an ultra. With this going on, do we have age group series race this year?
We have an age group series, yes. You know what? You're quizzing me on the top of my head right now, and I'm usually pretty good with my memory, but I think we have the 3 distances, so the sprint, the super, and the beast. I think they're in Red Deer, Montreal, and Blue, but I could be mistaken with Kelowna. So apologies, everyone. You'll have to go and check that up, and maybe we could put it in the comment or something. I can't remember off the top of my head what locations we have, but yes, there will be a national series.
There's okay, so there's definitely an age group series, but we're not having an elite series, correct?
No elite series, unfortunately.
No. Are we having elite waves though at all the venues?
Yes, we are. Yeah, we'll have elite waves everywhere. I don't think we're letting go of the elites at all. So at every single venue, we will have them. The only difference is that we've actually opened some sprint heats on the Saturdays as well, just to some people, to facilitate their weekend and everything if they wanted to do multiple distances. So I think in Toronto and Ottawa at the moment we have the sprint heats going on the Saturday, and there will not be an elite wave on the Saturday. There will be one on the Sundays though.
Right. Go ahead, Beth.
When they do have elite waves, is there still prize money, or have they dropped that this year?
I believe they dropped that this year for the normal races. I think that we're trying to get the most prize money for the championship events and everything like that. So I think we've scaled it back a little bit. So yeah, championship series are where the money is going to be able to be made.
Did you see the prize? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I'm curious then the logic of having an elite wave at all, if there's no difference really between racing elite and racing age group, if there's no prize money in either. So why are they not just combining them entirely?
That would be a product question. I wish I was able to answer that. I'm operating in Canada. Obviously, I run the business, but it's almost like a franchise, right? I don't really have a say into what products we really offer. I can suggest a lot of things, but it's just like if you're the owner of McDonald's and you decided to have a vegan sandwich or sorts, and you can't just put it on the menu, right? So or you can't just take it off either, right? You can't take the Big Mac or off the menu just because you don't think it's selling, right? So I can't really make decisions on that part. I haven't really heard about the why behind it. I think that they want to keep the elites in there for the series and for the championships. But other than that, I don't really know the logic behind that.
Yeah, I guess I just see it as I race in the women's elite heat, and it keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I just think if we eliminate the prize money, I don't see any incentive for anybody to ever really race elite. And I mean, the women's heats have just been so small last year. So
they really have, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just worried about that whole side of it in general.
Yeah, and you know what, we're seeing that across I don't know across the world because I haven't made my way over into the international markets recently. But I've seen that in the US a bit as well. I've been to a few races down there, and the elite pool is kind of diminishing a little bit. We separated it out, I think it was in 2019, 2018. Might be wrong, but I don't know, maybe it would be in the cards to bring it back together. I'm kind of just an operator here. I make sure that the whatever comes down the pipeline happens. But I agree with you. It's not as challenging. It's not as fun. And I can't remember exactly where. It might have been in Canada, it might have been the US, but I remember last year there was one race where I think there's 3 women racing at the elites. So it's like, okay, well, see you on the podium, everyone, at the start line. So it's kind of it's not as fun for the sport. It's not as fun for the athletes to make sure that they have the competition, that they push themselves. But maybe with the arrival of the 1K, 3K distance in the US, it'll bring a couple more people to want to race elite again. I don't know.
We did see just recently, I think it was in Texas again, they had a 1-woman elite wave, which is rough. But that said, I think they can bring it back. Like, I think you just got to, and I've said this before a couple of times. I think if Spartan made just a separate kind of elite medal, it's amazing how many people will go around just for the medals. But if you made an elite wave medal and had that just for the people in the elite wave, I guarantee people would sign up just to get that bloody medal. And
I love that idea. Yeah.
And I mean, it's talking about, it's not an expensive thing for Spartan to do. It's not difficult. You just make a separate medal for them, and I bet you'd have, well, it's instead of 1, maybe you'd have 10, maybe you'd have 15, maybe you have 20 for the women. Like it would step it up, I think.
I would love to see that actually. That's a great idea. And I think we can get really creative with some medals. I don't know if you saw the honor series medals down in the US
Yeah.
last year, but they were just epic. And I think you're right, just the visuals too, like having that around your neck and being one of the 3 people for that race to have it, man, that's such a big bragging right, but also just a nice piece of metal to hold up. So yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Like I was down on that before when I thought when they were having like they take away the quals. I liked the qual idea for the Elite Wave. But when they had
Mhm.
that, and I'm like, okay, well, if you have the quals, and then when you go in the race, you get this different medal that shows that you were a person that qualified, that made it. It's like it's almost like getting another podium medal, but you've already got it just for showing up because you qualified for the elite.
Yeah.
Why are they not paying me for these things, Bear? Jesus, giving this
I
away
know.
for free.
I know, Dave. I mean, I
No,
wish we could have hired you this year, in all disclosure, guys. So Dave reached out and he wanted to be our referee this year. And it didn't work out. We got rid of that position. We kind of brought some positions down and everything. But Dave was going to be your awesome referee this year, and I was really pumped to having him by my side to help me out. So if he grills me tonight, it's because he didn't get the job. No, I'm kidding.
It's gonna clean up the joint, man.
Yeah. No, I'm
No,
just
but
kidding. But
that's obviously Spartan did a lot of stuff on that side. We don't need to go into too much of that. They did a
yeah.
lot of different things that were a little unexpected. But anyway, as far and we actually we have to mention this, but
Okay.
3K was originally slated for Montreal or for Mount Tremblant, and it was taken away. And I do know myself and Bethany are disappointed with that. Is there a chance that it will be coming? Yeah, yourself that it will be coming back, and you probably don't know, but for 2024 or something along the lines,
Um,
or can we just show up and just do our own? Like we'll just find like the we'll get the obstacles right at the end. We'll make a little 1K loop, and we'll just do our own. We don't have to tell them. It can be a secret. No one will find out. I think it's a good idea. Beth, you down?
And then we'd win again.
Yes, exactly.
oh man, I wish we could do that. Honestly, that'd be really cool. And I think the format is really, really awesome as well. It's kind of like I'm a big fan of Formula One, and I know that our chief of product, David Watson, is as well. And perhaps I don't know if he did or he didn't, but the qualifications on the Saturdays, it's kind of a similar format where you have a larger pool of a group, and then it goes down, and it goes down again, and then you have like the final, and that's where all the excitement is. And I thought that would be a really cool product to bring as well. We're lucky to have it in the U.S. And to go back to your question, I really do hope for 2024 that we have it. We're going to make sure that if we announce it, if we have the venue selected, that we have a solid plan going into it, to make sure that the venue is suitable. And because it's kind of difficult, especially on mountains that we use in Canada, mostly than just like, for example, a flat course. Like the trial was down in Jacksonville. It's much easier to have it there because you have the array of where you want to build things. Everything's accessible, and the penalty loops, they're causing a bit of a headache. Not too much for us, but a little bit just to be able to find that 200-meter distance on the course. Sometimes, especially down and around the festival, obstacles are back to back to back to back, right? And you want that for the spectatorship. You want to make sure that people are engaged. And it makes it a little bit more difficult sometimes to find that 100-meter on the side or whichever side for the obstacles. So I think that was part of it as well. But no, I'm really excited to hopefully get it for 2024, and I'll put all my influence into making sure that happens for 24.
Stadium race too. We need one of those.
Well, I'm looking into it, Dave.
There you go. And just sort of Red Deer, 3K and Red Deer, that place would be amazing.
That would be a good spot. You're right. Absolutely. Like logistically, that'd be awesome. I think our folks out in the West Coast would love us for doing that.
Mick would throw a party.
He would. Yeah, absolutely. Him and Austin and everyone else out west, they would have a grand old time in there. But yeah, it would be really cool to have a 3K.
They made, and I don't because I haven't seen them in the States, so I doubt it'll be different here. But they Spartan showcased a couple of new obstacles that they were demonstrating. Any chance that those are going to hit the course this year?
Probably, I'm gonna say no for at least the first few races. I don't think they've made it out to races
Yeah.
yet. I know they've made it like the trials at the end of last year in December. I can't remember exactly where. You had those red ladders. You had the W wall with the cool like
Yeah.
monkey bars on the side of it and everything. So, like definitely not on the first half of the season. We can take a look and see if our manufacturer is able to produce enough. If we have uh, the timelines for the shipments to come from China and everything. So we can look into that. My guess I'm a very transparent guy, and that's kind of my MO this year. Is I want to be as transparent as possible. I don't think they'll make a move into Canada this year, unfortunately. But I think that 2024 we could definitely expect at least one or the other. We are bringing though a small obstacle. And you're going to say, "Well, that's a joke," but I think it's pretty cool to just add another heavy, like a carry. So we're bringing armor to Canada this year. Our construction manager Danny is constructing them right now at our warehouse. So maybe not right at this second, but he's currently doing those. So we'll have armor there. A lot of Spartan races are upper body focused. They're, you're either running or you're doing some sort of monkey bar or rope climb or, upper body exercise. So I'm thinking that, this cool obstacle will bring a little bit more of a strength element to it and maybe balance the things out. Who knows?
I'm actually glad to see that. And
Yeah.
I think it's a good option. I love any of the heavy carries. I like anything that gives those powerhouses a little more of an advantage over all the runners.
Yeah.
And the only thing I would say is it needs to be more. It needs to be a little bit longer, a little bit more, so that it really hits the runners harder. That would just be my personal preference. I'd like
Yeah.
to see it
Should
be a
be like
little bit
50
more.
feet, right? 50 feet. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, there you go. Something
Right?
like that.
Set
Like
them
we
apart.
could just accidentally make things longer and say we got confused with the
I mean,
metric imperial conversion, and these things
yeah,
happen. They wanted 25 feet. We made it 25 meters. It was an accident. I'm telling
that'd be
you,
awesome. I would love to do that.
Nick, we got to go rogue and start doing some crazy shit.
Man, we should. I can't. But
Awesome.
it would be pretty cool. It would be fun. I would enjoy that.
So, is there anything else that you want to lay out for this year for everybody? And again, we're going to start this right now already. Volunteers, step up,
Yes,
come forward, get in there, take part. It is always a blast. That's how I got this
absolutely.
sweater right here. Volunteer. There you
Ah, Dave, you're the man. You should be our volunteer ambassador.
go.
That would be awesome. No, but yeah, volunteers are a big part of what we do. Our portal right now we use to sign up is not open. We've had a little bit of troubles with that. We're working on it really hard. Or hopefully it'll be up by next week. But we definitely need volunteers for every single one of our races. My staff, they work as hard as they can, but if you have 30 obstacles on a course, then you gotta have 30 people. And that's pretty much the entirety of my staff. So we can't be everywhere at once, and to be able to keep having these races, volunteers are the key. So I agree 100%. I'm just genuinely very excited for this year. We have good staff that'll make sure that the races, are just right there on par, or even better, perhaps than some of the U.S. races. And we've came out of COVID. We're getting stronger. We're trying to get our feet under us. Make sure that the continuity is there because we love the sport. We love having you guys at the races. And I think that, we know most of the venues we're going to, so we're going to try to make the most out of it. Understand some of I guess they're not major problems that we had last year, but, you can always do better. And hopefully we learn from past. We get good events on. You guys are happy. And that's what makes our lives, and get some people off the couch and getting them running.
And if you guys out there, if you want more races, you want better races, you want better obstacles, you want all these cool things that we talk about with extra stuff, well, the best way to get it is get out there, race, essentially
Yeah.
talk with your
Participate.
wallet. and
Bring all your friends.
that's right. Bring people out, have a good time, support Canadian races, because if you don't, we won't have them.
Yeah, and we've seen a bit of a decline, and we've seen a decline over the years, is what I want to say. So probably like I started in 2014, and I saw at that point my first race was 18,000 people. And so obviously that was overwhelming. That was awesome. And we'd love to get back to those numbers. And we've slowly seen it decline, but it's actually going back up. We're seeing more and more people sign up for races. And our Toronto Super almost sold out until we added more inventory, more people in heats. So you're going to have some pretty packed heats this summer. The energy's back. People want to get out. And I was going to ask you this earlier, Dave, and I was going to ask you: is the feeling at a DecaFit when you cross that finish line the same as Spartan? Because when you cross that line at a Spartan race, at a Tough Mudder, and even any other OCR, it's just like this awesome sense of accomplishment, especially if you're running age group or elite. But even just as an open, I remember doing like a little 5K last year. And you get out of that dunk wall, you hit it around the corner, you jump over that fire. Maybe you're with a couple friends, and it's just such a gratifying feeling. You get that medal, get that photo, and it's just amazing. So even like if you're not fit, whatever it is, and you want to get back into it, you're scared or whatever, put a date on the calendar, and it's just an incredible feeling. You don't have to run the entire time, but if you can, you should. That's all I'm going to say. But awesome. No, sorry, about the DecaFit. How is that when you cross that finish line? Is it similar?
Beth?
Yeah. I find with the Deca races, you're redlining the whole time. So almost everybody crosses the finish line and they're just laying out on the floor.
They're collapsing, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I find with Spartan, it's the long grind. So it's a bit different in that way. I mean, you finish obviously both races exhausted, but I just find the Deca is so intense that everyone just out on the floor as soon as they're done.
I think for me, the thing I see too, where there is a comparable, but it's on two different scales, is when you cross the line in Spartan, there's usually a lot of people around. Like it's a big open area and there's a lot of people and they're usually being very good cheering you on. I know personally, I've been lucky enough to have some people know me and cheering me as I've come across at the end, sprinting for the finish and dying. I fall across every finish line because, well, I'm just not that good. But with the Deca, it's a little bit different where you might have as many people, but they're so much closer to you. And they're like counting out your final burpees and stuff like that. So it is similar and yet different, but they both are an intense feeling. And you definitely feel that gratification. I know I've seen that Deca. I've seen a Deca, some people literally in tears when they finish.
Oh, that just gets to you, eh? Or you see like, that's just amazing. And I think it goes back to what you were saying about like having people there, having fellow racers, developing relationships with other racers, comparing your times, comparing what you did, the different sections. It's just, I think that what we bring to the table is just amazing. And that's the biggest part of why I've stayed on with Spartan for so long. I mean, it's not an easy job by any means. I remember being paid like a very low amount and sleeping on tables. We didn't have hotels back in the day, and it was crazy. But I just loved what we could procure to people, and like you said, seeing people in tears, seeing people happy, seeing people that they never thought they'd be able to do this, and they finally finish that finish line. Whether it's a 5 or a 50-kilometer race, and they have that look in their eye, it's just beautiful moments. So I'm with you, and really happy to be doing this for everyone.
And we do get hung up sometimes, especially us with our podcast and whatever. And we talk about the elite a lot, and we talk about that, and we get hung up on the minutia of the details of like the top 1 to 5% and what's going on with
what's important,
or this or that, and sometimes we lose sight of the grand scale and what so many other people get out of it. So that is there. It will always be there, and it's going to be great to see. Beth, you got anything else for Bear today?
And I'm just confirming again, it's all run loops this year, right?
For elite and age group, yes, there will be a 200-meter loop, unless the gradient of the hill or there's incline more than 55%, at which case it'll fall back to 100 meters. But then the open categories will see burpees. So open categories will still be doing burpees. And if we're not able to transition it over because we're low on staff or volunteers, then there is the possibility that they'll do some loops as well. We're going to try for open to make sure that burpees are making a comeback. They're not gone 100%, guys.
That's good to know. I do convince a lot of people from my gym to try it. So they want to know if they're doing burpees or not. So I will tell them that if they race age group, they don't have to do burpees. So that's the incentive.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. That's a great strategy. I love it.
Or if they don't fail any obstacles.
Right.
You see, if they do the proper training, you know,
Just take away their oven
way
mitts
to
and
go.
they'll be fine.
Exactly. You don't have to do any penalties if you do it right.
That's right.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Thanks so much, Bear, for coming on and talking about this season. We're really excited also to kick off the Spartan season in Canada, and we will see you at as many as we can.
Absolutely. And thank you for giving me the opportunity tonight. Sorry the audio, the visual maybe wasn't right for you. But I'm working hard to get you the best races. So that's why I'm here, and this is why it's like this. So no, it was great being on, and whenever you want, I'll be back on.
Thanks so much, Bear.